Also here this morning is Assistant City Manager Ray Ariano from our City Manager's office, as well as several members of our executive staff are here as well. I'm here to brief out on an officer-involved shooting that occurred this morning. As I give you the details that I'm aware of at this point, please remember all of this is very preliminary information at this time, and we've only been able to just begin the investigation. But I do want to brief out what we know at this point. At approximately 2:31 a.m., Austin 911 received a 911 call on a shooting that had just occurred in the 7100 block of North IH-35 in front or near a local restaurant in that area. Officers responded, and by 2:35, approximately 4 minutes later, the officers were on scene and began talking to witnesses. Witnesses advised that there was a male subject that had shot a female, and that the female had left the scene in a vehicle, and the male subject was still on foot in the area. Officers located another witness that stated that they'd observed this male subject, and after momentarily losing sight of the subject, heard multiple shots fired, presumably coming from the area where the subject was last seen. The officers obtained a description of the subject and began searching the area, seeing if they could locate him. As they began checking the area, one of the officers observed a subject matching the description in the parking lot of a nearby motel. The officer immediately began giving directions, identifying himself as an Austin police officer and telling the subject to get on the ground. The subject did not do so and began walking away from the officer. The officer continued to give commands and began following the subject, alerting other officers to the area to come to the area as well. The subject then walked in between two vehicles, and the officer moved to intercept. And as the subject was walking between those vehicles and the officer came up, there was they came essentially face to face, and shots were fired by the Austin officer, and the subject went down. Within a few moments, the subject was able to be removed from between the two vehicles, and officers approached and immediately began life-saving measures. The subject has been transported to a local hospital by EMS, where he is in stable condition. And as we began working this scene in that area between those vehicles, a firearm has been recovered at the scene. We are aware that we're working a homicide this morning in Northeast Austin, where a female victim is deceased, and we are working to determine if that is related to this, but that is unknown at this moment. This incident was captured on multiple body-worn cameras, and interviews are being conducted of all the witnesses, as well as our crime scene staff are searching for other sources of video right now. We are asking if anyone has information regarding this incident, please call 911, or you can call the Crime Stoppers tip line at 512-472-TIPS. The officer involved has been with APD for approximately 2.5 years and is assigned to night patrol in this area. The officer will be placed on administrative duty pending the outcome of the investigation. There will be 2 concurrent investigations that will take place. The first, a criminal investigation by our Special Investigations Unit, and that investigation will be worked in conjunction and overseen by the District Attorney's Office, as well as an administrative investigation conducted by our Internal Affairs Unit, and that investigation will be overseen by the Office of Police Oversight. We do plan to release the video related to this incident per our policy within 10 business days. As I said, the information right now is very preliminary, but I can take a couple of questions if there are any. Did you ask the status? Yes, the person who was shot is at the hospital, is in stable condition, and is expected to survive.
Forgive me if I missed it, but was there a gun found?
There was a gun that was recovered from the scene, yes.
Chief, if I could get you to just recap from the top about your minute or two.
Yeah, I'll do that for you in a little bit. Any other questions?
You said that you weren't sure if the homicide down the street was related, but do you happen to know whether the what direction they might have came from, or whether
No, I don't know. Here? Like I said, I'm aware that we are working a homicide in Northeast Austin. Don't know at this point if it's related to this case.
I meant the incident here. Did it happen in this area, or did it happen in another area?
No, the incident, the shooting that occurred was observed in this area. I'm sorry, repeat that question.
Do you know the relationship between the original victim and the shooter?
So the shooter that I'm describing right now is an Austin police officer, and the person who was shot is an individual who was observed with a weapon.
The suspect. Do you know the relationship between the suspect and the victim?
Are you referring to the homicide?
No, the original person who
Okay, I don't understand your question. You're talking, we have two people that are involved, essentially. We've got the person who was shot, he's been transported to the hospital, and we have an Austin police officer. Those are the two people that are involved in this incident.
Just one last question for me, and that is, when I got here, the mobile was taped off and being looked at, and then this is taped off, so there are two different
Yes, it is a pretty big crime scene where pieces of evidence are being located and recovered, and so that's when you'll see the crime scene tape in different areas out here.
So did it start here and move there, or?
All that's under investigation right now. Not really too sure. Okay, thank you all very much.
We have a description of the person that was shot.
I don't have I know it's a Hispanic male, and I don't have an age at this point.
Can you just recap the location and where this all went down?
Yeah, it's happened in the 7100 block of North IH-35.
And then how did all this transpire?
Yeah, we received a call of a person who had been shot, an individual with a gun in the area, and officers responded to that per a 911 call that was coming from the area.
As far as for the officer to take this action, what led up to that point?
So as the officer arrived on scene and began talking to witnesses, subject description was obtained, and a person matching that description was observed. Officers gave multiple commands for him to stop. He was trying to get away from the officers, essentially walk away from the officers, and then as the officers kind of came face to face with that individual, our officer ended up firing his weapon, and the subject went down.
Was it a 911 call that brought the officer to the location?
That's correct.
What was the original? What was the 911?
A person had been shot, and a person with a gun was observed in the area. All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.